It was a dark and stormy night, the kind that sent shivers down spines and made hearts race with every crash of thunder. A group of 5 friends, Alex, Sarah, Mark, Emily, and Chris, sought adventure in the midst of the tempestuous ocean. Laughter and jokes echoed over the waves as they sailed away from the safety of the shore. As the boat rocked gently on the waves, the friends reveled in the thrill of the moment. They shared stories, passed around a bottle of rum, and watched the lightning illuminate the roiling sea. Little did they know that their carefree night would take a harrowing turn that would forever change their lives. Suddenly, above the sound of wind and waves, a woman's desperate screams pierced the air, carried by the gusts from a nearby island. The friends exchanged startled glances before springing into action. There was no time to waste, no time to ponder the strangeness of a woman stranded on an isolated island in such treacherous weather. Instinct and empathy drove them forward. Without hesitation, they maneuvered the boat towards the island. The woman's cries for help grew louder and more frantic as they approached. The friends exchanged anxious glances, their initial excitement replaced with growing concern. The night grew darker as the storm raged on, but the beacon of hope in the form of those screams pushed them onward. The island loomed closer, its silhouette ominous against the backdrop of the stormy sky. With a mixture of dread and determination, the friends finally reached the shore. They stepped onto the island, their footsteps squelching in the damp sand. Rain-soaked and shivering, they followed the sound of the woman's cries, their hearts racing with each step. For hours, they scoured the island, shouting the woman's name into the unforgiving wind. But despite their best efforts, she remained elusive. Doubts began to creep into their minds. Was it a trick of the storm? A figment of their imagination fueled by exhaustion and fear? They were on the verge of giving up when they felt it, a presence lurking just beyond the edge of their senses. Every time they turned around, they caught fleeting glimpses of a shadowy figure moving through the trees, a wraith-like presence that sent shivers down their spines. Panic gripped them, and they realized they were not alone on the island. The sense of danger was palpable, a malevolent force that seemed to seep from the very soil beneath their feet. Despite their growing terror, the friends continued their search. The woman's cries continued to echo in their ears, though they seemed to emanate from different directions. The island's landscape became a twisted maze, a surreal nightmare that defied reason. Their flashlights flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced on the trees, and the wind seemed to whisper their names. But no matter how hard they looked, the woman remained just out of reach. Exhausted, scared, and disoriented, they finally conceded defeat. They returned to their boat, their hearts heavy with the weight of unanswered questions. As they sailed back to the safety of the mainland, they vowed to report the incident to the authorities in the hope that someone else could help the woman. The next morning, a sense of unease hung in the air as the authorities arrived on the island. They scoured the area meticulously, combing through the undergrowth and investigating every inch of the shoreline. Yet, despite their efforts, there was no trace of the woman, no sign that she had ever been there. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. The friends watched from a distance, their faces drawn and pale. They knew what they had heard, what they had seen, and the memory of that horrifying night continued to haunt them. As the authorities left the island, the friends exchanged troubled glances, wondering if they had truly encountered a ghostly apparition. Years passed, but the memory of that fateful night refused to fade. The friends had each gone their separate ways, building careers and families, yet the bond they had forged on that night remained unbreakable. They often spoke of that haunting experience, recounting the events with a mixture of disbelief and fear, as if by retelling the story they could somehow make sense of it. One day, an envelope arrived in the mail. It was addressed to Alex, the one who had been the most resolute during that night's search. The postmark was from the same island, the place of their shared trauma. Alex's hands trembled as he opened the letter, his heart pounding in his chest. The contents were unsettling, a letter written in a script that seemed from a bygone era. The words were penned with an elegant hand, and they bore the initials of the woman they had sought all those years ago. She thanked them for their efforts, expressed her gratitude for their attempt to rescue her, and begged them to return to the island once more. Shaken yet intrigued, Alex contacted the old group of friends. Despite the passage of time, their connection remained strong, and they all agreed to meet and discuss the strange letter. They decided to embark on a journey back to the island, a place that held the answers they had been seeking for so long. As they stepped onto the shore once again, an eerie energy enveloped them. The air was thick with anticipation, and a sense of foreboding settled over them like a shroud. They retraced their steps from that night years ago, the shadowy figure still lurking on the periphery of their vision, and the woman's screams echoing in their minds. With determination etched on their faces, they pushed through the overgrown vegetation and dense underbrush, following the same path they had taken all those years ago. As they moved deeper into the heart of the island, the air grew heavy and a feeling of being watched intensified. And there, concealed by the oppressive forest, they stumbled upon an old decaying mansion, a sinister relic from a forgotten past. The woman's scream seemed to emanate from within its walls, and a chill ran down their spines. This was where the source of their torment lay. Without hesitation, they pushed open the creaking door and stepped into the darkness beyond. The interior was suffused with an otherworldly glow, the same light that had led them here. Their flashlights flickered to life, casting eerie shadows on the peeling wallpaper and decaying furniture. And then they saw her. The woman they had searched for so tirelessly all those years ago. She was chained to the wall, her body bearing the marks of unspeakable cruelty. Her eyes held a mixture of fear and relief as she gazed upon the friends who had returned to save her. "Thank you for coming back," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the pounding of their hearts. Horror and anger surged within the friends as they rushed to free her from her chains. The woman's story unfolded before them, a tale of abduction, torture, and a cult that thrived on the suffering of the innocent. The cult had been using her screams to lure others to the island, to feed their insatiable hunger for pain and despair. The friends freed the woman and called the authorities, who arrived and arrested the members of the cult. The woman was taken to the hospital, where she received medical attention and eventually made a full recovery. The friends had solved the mystery of the screams, but they knew that the memory of that terrifying night would stay with them forever. They had come face to face with true evil, and they knew that they were lucky to have survived. From that day on, they never forgot the importance of sticking together and looking out for one another.